Elon Musk was not born into comfort, certainty, or confidence about the future. Long before the world associated his name with rockets, electric cars, or artificial intelligence, he was simply a kid who felt out of place, unsafe, and misunderstood. This story is not about overnight success. It is about psychological resilience, long-term thinking, and the science of refusing to quit when the data says you probably should. Elon Musk was born in South Africa, a country isolated politically and economically at the time. As a child, he was introverted, deeply focused, and different. He read books obsessively, often 10 hours a day, but intelligence did not protect him. At school he was bullied relentlessly. Not teased, beaten, hospitalized, pushed downstairs, emotionally isolated. These early experiences shaped something critical in his brain, a tendency to retreat inward and build internal worlds where logic and imagination were safer than people. Psychologists describe this as a coping mechanism. When the external environment is hostile, the mind adapts by developing intense internal focus. This same mechanism, when refined, becomes deep work, systems thinking, and the ability to tolerate solitude. Elon Musk did not develop resilience because life was kind to him. He developed it because life was brutal. At 17, he made a decision that would define his entire trajectory. He left South Africa alone, not as a billionaire, not as a visionary, as an immigrant with almost nothing. He moved to Canada first, then to the United States. Immigration is not just a change of location. Neurologically, it is one of the most stressful experiences a human can undergo. New culture, no safety net, no familiar support system, chronic uncertainty. Elon worked odd jobs. He shoveled grain. He survived, not thrived. And this is important. Most people quit at survival mode. They stop dreaming when life becomes about paying rent. Elon did the opposite. He used survival pressure as fuel. He attended university, studied physics and economics, but formal education was never the end goal. He was interested in first principles thinking. This is a method of reasoning used in physics. Break a problem down to its fundamental truths and reason up from there. Instead of asking, how is this usually done? You ask, what must be true at the most basic level? This way of thinking would later allow him to challenge entire industries. His first company, Zippy2, was not glamorous. It was stressful. He slept in the office. He showered at the YMCA. He coded nonstop. When the company finally sold, Elon did not celebrate security. He reinvested everything into his next idea. Then came XCOM, which later became PayPal. This is where failure truly began to stack up. Elon was removed as CEO while on his honeymoon. Think about that psychologically. You build something. You believe in your vision. And while you are away, the board decides you are the problem. Most people never emotionally recover from public professional rejection at that level. But here is what neuroscience tells us. Rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. The difference between those who collapse and who adapt is not toughness. It is meaning. Elon framed failure as data, not as identity. After PayPal sold, Elon had hundreds of millions of dollars. This is where most stories end. But this is where his real suffering began. He invested nearly all of his money into 3 companies simultaneously: SpaceX and SolarCity. Statistically, this was irrational. Experts said it openly. Friends warned him. Economists called it reckless. Engineers laughed at SpaceX. Why? Because the aerospace industry operates on tradition, bureaucracy, and massive government contracts. Elon was an outsider with no formal background in rocket science. What he had instead was obsessive learning and first principles reasoning. SpaceX failed. Again. And again, and again. 3 rockets exploded, cost tens of millions of dollars. The media mocked him. Headlines called him delusional. Investors walked away. By 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX were on the brink of collapse. Elon was nearly bankrupt. He had gone from hundreds of millions to choosing which company to save. This period is critical to understand. Stress at this level causes cognitive narrowing. The brain shifts into threat mode. Creativity drops. Decision-making deteriorates. Many leaders implode here. Elon did not escape the stress. He absorbed it. He slept on factory floors. He worked over 100 hours a week. Not because it was healthy, but because he believed the mission required personal sacrifice. He later admitted this period was the most painful of his life. Then something changed. SpaceX launched Falcon 1 for the 4th time. If it failed, the company would die. It succeeded. That one success triggered a NASA contract that saved SpaceX. Shortly after, Tesla secured funding that prevented bankruptcy. From a systems perspective, this is fascinating. Years of failure created invisible infrastructure, better processes, sharper teams, deeper knowledge. Success did not appear suddenly. It emerged when the system finally crossed a threshold. This is how progress actually works. The human brain is bad at understanding nonlinear growth. We expect linear results, effort in, reward out. Reality is different. Reality stores effort quietly, then releases outcomes suddenly. This is why people quit too early. Elon Musk didn't win because he avoided failure. He won because he stayed in the game long enough for failure to compound into competence. Even after success, the pressure did not stop. Tesla faced production hell. Media attacks intensified. Elon became one of the most criticized individuals on the planet. Sleep deprivation, public scrutiny, legal battles, mental health struggles. He admitted to experiencing extreme stress, emotional breakdowns, and moments of deep doubt. This matters because it destroys the myth that success eliminates suffering. What actually changes is your relationship with suffering. Elon Musk's story is not motivational because he is rich. It is motivational because he repeatedly chose long-term meaning over short-term comfort. Neurologically, this activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for delayed gratification, strategic thinking, and emotional regulation. In simple terms, he trained his mind to endure. And this is the part that connects to you. You may not be building rockets. You may not be a migrant billionaire. But you know uncertainty. You know rejection. You know what it feels like to be underestimated, to fail publicly, to feel alone in your vision. The lesson is not to work 100 hours a week. The lesson is to think differently about pain. Pain is not a signal to stop. Pain is information. Failure is not a verdict, it is feedback. Being behind does not mean you are incapable. It often means you are early in a nonlinear process. Elon Musk once said that starting a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. But he did it anyway. Not because he enjoyed suffering, but because the mission mattered more than comfort. If you take anything from this story, let it be this. You do not need confidence to begin. You need commitment. You do not need approval to continue. You need clarity. And you do not need to win today. You need to stay in the game. Because history does not remember those who played it safe. It remembers those who endured long enough to change the rules.